Welcome back. This is Lee and Alison from the Law School Toolbox, and today we're talking about how on earth you should organize your time and stay focused in law school. Okay, here's another great one that we talk a lot about. How do I avoid procrastination when the workload feels overwhelming? Oh, the self-sabotaging behavior. We've all been there. We've all done it. We've all seen other people do it. It happens to everybody.
Yeah, and I think there are a number of different reasons this can happen. If something's feeling really overwhelming, that's often a sign that someone just doesn't know how to get started on something. If the assignment is write a brief, and you've never written a brief before, of course you're going to procrastinate on that because you don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. So, I think that getting that problem solved is often sort of the first step. Some of us just don't want to do these things, or your brain doesn't want to do them, or it's not motivated to do them. So I don't know. I feel like there are a lot of different sort of root causes of procrastination, and that you've probably got to figure out what that cause might be for you to figure out an effective solution.
Yeah. I think oftentimes with our students, I found that it's easier to manage if you set yourself up for success like the next day, and so if you make your to-do list at night or you commit to doing certain tasks the next day, it's much easier to say, okay, I'm going to just take this list and do the tasks that are presented to me rather than having to make all of those choices. So I think there are things like scaffolding you can create for yourself to stay on task. But I love this idea of taking something big and breaking it into more manageable chunks. And I think that applies to almost all of this stuff in law school. It could be read the first case in your reading assignment. It doesn't have to be read all three cases at one sitting. Maybe that's impractical. Or, how do you break any sort of large assignment up into manageable chunks? You're not going to sit down and outline a whole course, right? What can you outline? You're going to outline defenses, in torts. And that's one sit down time. I think that anything you can do to make it so you can meet these goals, it just doesn't feel like such a black hole.
Right. And there are tools out there. A lot of them are AI based. They can help you with some of this stuff where you can give it kind of, okay, this is my assignment and I don't know what to do first. And it can kind of be to say, well, maybe think about this and this and this. And you say, I need more detail than that, or I need less detail than that. Like, give me one thing to do that's going to make it easy to move this forward. And it's really that process of moving things forward that's going to create that momentum for you to get to the bigger win. So, maybe it's not even that you are going to read an entire case. Maybe if you're really just not feeling it, you're like, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to open the book, I'm going to find the case, and I'm going to read the first paragraph. That might be your goal.
Yeah.
Because you're probably not going to stop after that.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I do think that anything you can do to get yourself over that hump is a great idea. And then you may need accountability partners. You may need friends or a study group who you can make some of these lists with together, and then you can check in on how things are going. Some people find that helpful, some people don't. But you need to, decide if you need someone to hold you accountable, then you better create that accountability. And then you know yourself pretty well. You've already been to undergrad. You probably know what some of your triggers are, whether you need rewards. I have a soft spot for some trashy TV in my life. And so even in law school, like during finals and really intense times, this is back when you'd have to get like the DVDs of shows. And so it'd be like, okay, I've saved them, but I knew that I could go home and like watch an episode of something trashy when I was done. And like, that was one of the reasons I wanted to get home. Like simple pleasures, right? Thanks, Netflix. But it was something I could say that like I had a reward to look forward to. So I knew that was important to me. I needed to know that I didn't have to go home and do laundry. I got to go home and do something that felt like, blowing off steam. So whatever it is for you, you just kind of have to set that up and just be honest with yourself. And if you've truly hit a wall, a burnout wall, truly hit one, then you need to take a step back and maybe take a break, take a half a day off, and reset yourself, because you can't push through that burnout. That's its own thing. But burnout doesn't happen as often as people would like to say it does. I think it's more often procrastination and not burnout.
Right. And I think along those lines, if you really just don't know what to do because you've never done this before, then find somebody to help you with it. If it's legal writing is like a big procrastination area. And I think that's the case where you need to go to office hours for your legal writing professor and say, look, I'm feeling really overwhelmed with like this task. Like, how do I, can you help me figure out how to get started? These are some things I've thought about or whatever. I mean, you don't want to just go and be like, please tell me what to do. But, like I've thought through the problem. I'm really not sure what direction to head. Or you go talk to a law librarian. They might even be more helpful than your legal writing professor would be. I know if it's a research-based question, but there are people there who can help you say, all right, well, you've come to me with this big question. Here are some things you might try, to move, again, this boulder down the hill a little bit. Why don't you go try them and then come back to me if they don't work? Like, there are people who are actually there to help you. You just have to find them.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think your academic support office is also a great resource.
Sometimes
sometimes you can make an appointment with them and say like, oh man, I am just like in it and I don't know what to do with this to-do list or how to approach these bigger challenges or outlining or whatnot. And they can give you that support too.
Well, your school may also have a writing center, which is where you can get help that maybe you can't get outside of the school on some of your writing projects. So, you want to understand what help you're allowed to get. Obviously, you don't want to be accidentally cheating, but typically you can go to your school's writing center and they have people who are trained and can help you figure out kind of the next steps, because there's really no reason that you would just inherently know how to do this. So get help and figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, if you enjoyed this video, please take a second to give us a like and leave a comment, and be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any future content. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us via the contact form on lawschooltoolbox.com, or you can take a look at our Start Law School Right course.